Is it a good day in Nigeria? President Tinubu and his APC government are under intense pressure from global leaders. Where are the missing children of St. Mary's Catholic School? This is a call for urgent accountability and intervention. On the night of November 21, 2025, gunmen abducted 303 students and 12 teachers from St. Mary's Catholic School in Papiri, Niger State, one of the worst mass kidnappings in Nigeria in recent memory. 40 of those kidnapped had tried to flee, and 50 have since escaped and been reunited with their families. But more than 250 remain unaccounted for. The question reverberates in chilling clarity. Where are the missing children of St. Mary's School? The true context is that of a nation's security in disarray. This tragedy does not occur in isolation. Just days earlier, another school in Kebbi State had 25 students abducted. And in Kwara State, gunmen stormed a church in the Eruku community, killing 2 people and abducting dozens of worshippers during an evening service. In that attack, the Christ Apostolic Church eventually confirmed 38 persons were taken, though initial reports exaggerated the numbers. Ransom demands reportedly dropped from 100 million Nigerian nairas per person down to 20 million Nigerian nairas according to ICIR News. These are not random crimes. They reflect a pattern of violence that is deeply embedded in Nigeria's security crisis. Many of the attackers are believed to be bandits, loosely organized criminal groups who often exploit forested regions, engage in kidnapping for ransom, and sometimes operate with ideological motives. Are there religious dimensions? Are Christians being targeted? For many observers, the abduction at St. Mary's is more than a criminal act. It is seen through the lens of targeted religious persecution. The Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, has framed the broader insecurity in religious terms, suggesting that Christian communities are under existential threat. Compounding these fears, U.S. President Donald Trump has leveled a harsh warning. He threatened to halt aid to Nigeria and threatened military action if Nigeria does not act to protect Christians. On his Truth Social platform, he warned the U.S. military may go into Nigeria guns a-blazing to completely wipe out the Islamic terrorists who are committing these horrible atrocities. This rhetoric, though controversial, has resonated among U.S. lawmakers. For instance, Representative Riley Moore has introduced a resolution urging religious protection, citing the mass killings and kidnappings. Meanwhile, Nigeria's government strongly rejects the notion of state-sponsored religious persecution. Foreign Minister Yusuf Tuggar, for instance, told Reuters that state-backed religious persecution is impossible under Nigeria's constitution. But policy debates and geopolitics must not obscure the human cost here. These are schoolchildren, boys and girls aged 10 to 18, according to CAN. Their families are living in fear, in limbo. Parents who sent their children to learn in faith and safety are now haunted by the absence of bedtime stories, laughter in the dorms, and the simple reassurance that children will return when they leave for school. In Eruku, the church community returned to service in the same blood-stained sanctuary, praying publicly for the release of their loved ones. They were told ransom demands had been lowered after negotiations, but dialogue soon broke off. And while some of the 38 abducted worshippers were later reported rescued, the lack of clarity on how they were freed raises troubling questions about accountability, state capacity, and the cost of rescue. How much was actually paid by government since they admitted to negotiating with the abductors? There is a case for American intervention, responsibly framed. Given this escalating crisis, the question of U.S. intervention becomes harder to dismiss. Trump's vow to act militarily, guns a-blazing, may have been provocative, but it underscores a real gap. The Nigerian state is struggling to guarantee the security of its most vulnerable citizens, especially Christian children. Here's why a carefully calibrated U.S. role could be justified, and why it must be done with humility, not just bravado. Moral responsibility. The U.S., as a global power, has often cast itself as a defender of religious freedom. Failing to respond to mass abductions of Christian children would be at odds with that self-conception. Deterrence. The threat of real consequences, whether through sanctions, a redesignation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern under the International Religious Freedom Act, or even security assistance, could deter future kidnappings or embolden the Nigerian government to act more decisively. Capacity building. Instead of unilateral strikes, the U.S. could support Nigeria with training, intelligence sharing, and logistics. This kind of partnership enables rescue operations while respecting Nigeria's sovereignty. Accountability. Any intervention must come with strict conditions, respect for human rights, clarity on mission objectives, and mechanisms to ensure that freed hostages are protected and reintegrated, not forgotten. The missing are a mirror. The students and teachers of St. Mary's are more than missing persons. They are a mirror held up to Nigeria's failing security apparatus, its deep communal divides, and the international community's struggle to respond effectively without exacerbating conflict. When children are taken from their beds, when worshippers are dragged from a church altar, the world must ask not just how many, but why this keeps happening. If the U.S. truly honors its promise, whether from Trump or from concerned lawmakers, it must act not out of vengeance but obligation, not with ideological bravado, but with disciplined, principled resolve. Because in the campfires of Papiri or the pews of Eruku, lives hang in the balance, and silence is no longer an option.